Arun lived on the grandest space station orbiting the planet Valora. The station was a marvel of technology, shining with metal surfaces that reflected distant stars. It floated silently above the swirling clouds of Valora, a world famous for its rare minerals and breathtaking landscapes. Arun was known across the galaxy as a billionaire, a man with wealth that could fund entire planets. His home on the station was a palace of high ceilings, gleaming floors, and walls lined with rare art from across the stars. Despite all of this, Arun felt an emptiness inside that no treasure could fill. He had heard stories about a young woman named Maya. She worked on the station as a caretaker and technician, known for her honesty, intelligence, and kindness. Employees and visitors spoke of her as someone who always did the right thing, even when it was not easy. Arun had never personally met her, but he had become curious. In all his years of wealth and power, he had rarely met anyone he could truly trust or respect. Now, he wanted to test her character. In the days leading up to his experiment, Arun carefully planned. He acquired a set of gold-like energy cores, objects extremely valuable for their ability to power entire sections of the station. Their worth was immense, and many employees would have been tempted to take them. Arun arranged them in his personal quarters, scattering them across the bed, on the table, and even near a small robotic assistant that beeped quietly in the corner. His idea was simple. He wanted to see if Maya would respect his possessions or if she would be tempted by the golden cores. When the day arrived, Maya entered Arun's quarters as part of her routine duties. She carried her maintenance tools, ready to check the ventilation system and ensure all equipment worked properly. As she stepped inside, her eyes fell on the golden energy cores scattered across the room. For a brief moment, her curiosity sparked. She studied their glow, noticing the intricate design and smooth finish. But she did not touch them. Instead, she moved around the room with calm focus. Going straight to the air filtration unit and checking its readings, Arun watched from a small observation panel hidden in the wall. He observed every movement, noting how Maya walked carefully, avoiding any disturbance to the scattered cores. Her hands never brushed them, her eyes remained professional, and her attention stayed on her work. He expected hesitation, temptation, or distraction, but there was none. She was entirely dedicated to her task. Arun felt a strange mixture of surprise and admiration. While she worked, Maya noticed a small robot assistant lying on the floor. Its sensors were damaged, and it had stopped moving. Without a word, she crouched down and began to examine it. Arun watched her methodically reconnect wires and realign its circuits. The robot slowly powered back on, its small lights blinking as it hummed softly. Arun felt a sudden warmth in his chest. Here was someone who acted not out of self-interest, but out of care for others. Even something as small as a machine. After completing her work on the ventilation system and the robot, Maya straightened up and walked toward the observation panel, unaware of Arun watching her. She glanced at the gold cores one last time. Her eyes showed acknowledgement of their value, but she continued walking toward the door, leaving them untouched. Arun could not believe what he saw. Most people in his position, even employees, would have been curious, greedy, or careless. Maya had shown restraint and focus. Arun decided to step into the room. He emerged quietly from his hiding place, wanting to see her reaction in person. Maya turned slightly, her expression polite and calm. She nodded respectfully. Arun felt a sudden nervousness. He was used to being in control, used to wealth granting him power over others. But here was someone who had acted freely, without fear or greed. "Good morning," Arun said, his voice steady but his mind racing. "I see you are here to check the systems." "Yes, sir," Maya replied. "I noticed a minor issue with the ventilation unit. I have corrected it. The robot was also damaged. I repaired it." Arun studied her carefully. She did not mention the gold cores. She did not show excitement or curiosity. She treated them as if they were ordinary objects, nothing more. Arun had never experienced anything like this. He was used to people reacting to wealth, to power, or to status, but Maya seemed untouched by all of it. "Did you notice anything unusual while you were here?" Arun asked casually, hiding the true reason for his question. Maya shook her head. Everything seems normal now. I focused on the work that needed to be done. Other things are not my concern. Arun felt a pang of emotion he had not felt in years. He realized that Maya's integrity and dedication were more valuable than any treasure he had ever possessed. His wealth had always been a shield, keeping people at a distance, but Maya's honesty had reached through it effortlessly. He could not help but feel a sense of humility in her presence. He walked closer and said softly, "You did not touch anything that was not yours. You could have taken the cores and no one would have known. Why didn't you?" Maya smiled gently. "Because it is not mine to take. Doing what is right matters more than what is easy or tempting." Arun felt a lump in his throat. He had expected cleverness, trickery, maybe even a clever excuse, but not this. He had been tested, in a way, by the very person he had intended to test. He realized that he had underestimated the power of character and honesty. In his life of wealth and influence, he had often ignored these qualities, focusing only on success and accumulation. Now, he saw their true value. The rest of the day passed quietly. Arun continued to observe Maya as she went about her tasks across the station. She treated everyone with respect, assisted colleagues without seeking praise, and even corrected minor mistakes without complaint. Arun felt an awakening inside him. He had spent so many years accumulating wealth, believing it brought satisfaction. But now he saw that wealth was meaningless without respect, trust, and integrity. That evening, Arun returned to his quarters and sat before the golden energy cores. They shimmered under the soft light of the room, but they no longer held the same allure. He thought of Maya and her calm, unwavering honesty. He felt a deep sense of admiration and a longing to understand what drove her character. For the first time in years, he realized that he wanted more than wealth. He wanted connection, trust, and the simplicity of doing what was right. Arun's mind raced with plans. He wanted to know more about Maya, to learn from her example. He wanted to see if the values she held could be shared with others across the station, for integrity could inspire those around him. The golden cores were no longer just objects of value. They became symbols of a test, a mirror reflecting the truth about human character and the choices people make when faced with temptation. That night, Arun could not sleep. He thought of Maya's actions, the calm determination in her eyes, and the quiet strength she showed. He realized that he had been living in a bubble of wealth and isolation, and her presence had challenged everything he believed. He felt a stirring of hope, a possibility that he could change, that he could use his resources to create a better environment for everyone around him. The challenge had begun. Arun knew that this was only the first step. Maya's response had taught him something valuable, something he could not have learned from any book or lesson. It was a lesson in humanity, in respect, and in the quiet power of integrity. Arun felt a renewed sense of purpose. He would observe, learn, and perhaps even grow into a better person. And Maya, without even realizing it, has become his teacher in ways he never expected. By the end of the night, Arun made a decision. He would not confront Maya about the test immediately. Instead, he would watch, learn, and let her actions speak. He wanted to understand her fully, to see how her honesty and kindness would influence others, and to consider how he could use his position to foster the same values across the space station. The golden energy cores lay untouched on the bed, silent witnesses to a test that had already changed Arun's perspective. In the quiet of his quarters, Arun felt a mixture of awe and humility. He realized that true wealth was not measured in gold or resources, but in the courage to do what is right, the strength to resist temptation, and the ability to inspire others through integrity. And as he finally drifted into sleep, he knew that the journey had only just begun. The next morning, Arun awoke with a restless energy he had not felt in years. The golden energy cores from yesterday still glimmered on his bed. Untouched, their value unchanged, yet somehow diminished in his eyes. It was not their worth that mattered anymore, but what Maya's actions had revealed about human character. He dressed quickly in his uniform and made his way to the observation deck. From here, he could quietly monitor the routines of the staff without their awareness. His focus naturally was on Maya. Maya moved through the station with quiet efficiency. She had a rhythm to her steps that seemed almost effortless, yet every action was deliberate. Arun watched her adjust the lighting in a corridor, repair a broken maintenance panel, and offer guidance to a group of junior technicians who struggled with a malfunctioning cleaning droid. None of these tasks were extraordinary on their own, but Arun noticed the care she put into them. She did not hurry through her work for recognition or praise. She worked because it was the right thing to do. As the day progressed, Arun made notes. He recorded how Maya interacted with others, how she balanced her technical skills with empathy, and how she remained calm under pressure. When a minor electrical storm hit the station, causing lights to flicker and panels to spark, many staff panicked. Maya, however, remained composed. She coordinated repairs with quiet authority, checking on each worker to ensure they were safe while methodically restoring the damaged systems. Arun could feel a strange sense of pride watching her. It was the first time he had witnessed genuine courage and competence without a hint of self-interest. During a break, Maya visited the station's common area to bring water to a group of engineers working late. Arun observed as she noticed a small bird-like maintenance drone trapped behind a panel. While others ignored it, she carefully freed the drone and inspected it for damage. The robot's tiny lights flickered as if in gratitude. Arun realized that Maya treated all life and objects with respect, whether sentient or mechanical. He had never considered that such small acts could hold so much meaning. But her behavior made him understand that integrity extended to every detail of life. Curiosity and admiration grew within Arun. He decided to engage with Maya, indirectly. He set up a series of minor tests without her knowledge. He deliberately left minor mistakes in the station's systems, knowing that a careless person might ignore them or exploit them for personal gain. He watched as Maya moved through each challenge, correcting the errors methodically while ensuring no one else was harmed by them. She acted with precision and thoughtfulness, never once hesitating to do what was right, even when it went unnoticed. One particular test involved a small data chip containing sensitive information about station operations. Arun left it on a table, deliberately in a position that tempted any passerby to access it. Maya noticed it immediately, but did not touch it. Instead, she secured it in the proper storage unit and reported its presence through official channels. Arun's chest tightened with emotion. This was more than honesty. It was responsibility. She understood the consequences of her actions. She acted without regard for reward or recognition. The observation continued for several days. Arun found himself growing increasingly introspective. He had always measured people by wealth, intelligence, or influence. Yet Maya's character transcended all those measures. She was humble, diligent, and courageous in ways Arun had never valued. He realized that his own life, filled with riches and power, had often lacked meaning. Watching her gave him a new perspective, one he could not ignore. One afternoon, a crisis arose on the station. A supply shuttle had malfunctioned during docking, causing a minor but dangerous pressure drop in one of the outer sections. Alarms blared as staff scrambled to contain the situation. Many employees panicked, leaving critical systems unattended. Maya, however, immediately assessed the problem. She coordinated with the automated drones and guided other technicians through the emergency procedures. Arun watched her direct operations with calm authority, her mind moving faster than the flashing alarms. She ensured that every worker was safe. Even while she stabilized the malfunctioning shuttle, the crisis passed without injury, thanks to Maya's leadership. Arun felt a wave of admiration and relief. Her response had not only prevented disaster, but also inspired others to act responsibly. She had not sought recognition or glory. She acted because it was the right thing to do. Arun could not remember the last time he had witnessed someone display such courage and selflessness. He understood, more clearly than ever, that wealth alone was meaningless without character. After the incident, Arun approached Maya for the first time outside of his secret observation. He found her in a quiet maintenance bay, checking a power conduit for damage. She looked up as he entered, her expression calm but curious. Arun felt a sudden nervousness. Normally, he commanded attention, and people deferred to him. Yet here was someone who had earned his respect through action, not title. Maya, Arun began. his voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside him. "I saw how you handled the situation with the shuttle. Your work prevented disaster. How do you stay so calm under pressure?" Maya smiled gently. "I focus on what needs to be done. Panicking does not help anyone. Helping others, solving the problem, and staying mindful of the risks is what matters." Arun nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He realized that he had spent much of his life in fear of losing wealth or status. While Maya lived with courage and purpose every day, he felt a mix of awe and humility. Her actions had taught him a lesson he had never learned from books, advisors, or experience. True strength comes from integrity, empathy, and dedication. Over the next few days, Arun continued his observations but also began informal conversations with Maya. He asked her about her approach to work, her principles, and her thoughts on leadership. Maya spoke simply, focusing on responsibility, honesty, and helping others. Arun listened carefully, taking notes in his mind, feeling inspired by her perspective. For the first time, he imagined a different way of leading, one that combined his resources with human values, rather than just power and control. One evening, Arun invited Maya to join him in a small project he had been working on privately. He had created a new automated system designed to improve the station's efficiency. But it required careful calibration and understanding of human behavior. He asked for her input, not as a subordinate, but as a partner. Maya approached the task with her usual thoughtfulness, offering practical solutions and considering the impact on both humans and machines. Arun realized that collaboration with someone like her could create results far beyond what he could achieve alone. Through this collaboration, Arun began to see the potential for change. He thought about the entire station, about the people who lived and worked there. It's about how his wealth could be used to inspire and support others. He saw that leadership was not about commanding attention or enforcing rules, but about fostering integrity, encouraging responsibility, and setting examples through action. By the end of the week, Arun had made a quiet decision. He would no longer see Maya as an employee to be tested or observed. She had proven herself in ways that transcended tests and challenges. She was a teacher, a guide, and a reminder of the values Arun had overlooked in his pursuit of wealth and status. He felt a sense of purpose growing inside him, a hope that he could become a better leader, a better person, and a force for good in the station. Maya, meanwhile, continued her work without fanfare. She did not seek praise, recognition, or reward. Her focus remained on the safety, efficiency, and well-being of the station and its people. Arun watched her with a mix of admiration and humility, realizing that she represented the best qualities of humanity, honesty, courage, empathy, and dedication. That night, Arun returned to his quarters and looked at the golden energy cores. They were still beautiful, still valuable, but their significance had changed. They were no longer a test of temptation, but a reminder of the lesson Maya had taught him, that true wealth lies in character, integrity, and the courage to do what is right. He felt a sense of gratitude toward her. Even though she did not know the impact she had made on him, Arun could not sleep easily. He thought of Maya's calm demeanor, her quick thinking during the shuttle incident, and the way she had cared for every worker and machine around her. He realized that observing her had opened his eyes to a world beyond wealth and power, a world where values mattered more than gold, where courage and integrity defined true strength. As he drifted into a light sleep, Arun made a silent promise. He would continue to learn from Maya, not to manipulate or test her, but to understand and embody the qualities she demonstrated. He would use his influence and resources to foster a community where honesty, respect, and courage were valued above all else. The golden cores on his bed glimmered softly in the dim light, silent witnesses to the beginning of a transformation that would change Arun, the space station, and perhaps even the people who lived among the stars. Days passed on the Vellora space station, each one filled with routine maintenance, minor repairs, and gradual improvements under the watchful guidance of Arun and Maya. Arun had become more than an observer. He was now a collaborator, eager to learn from Maya and understand the human values she demonstrated every day. Together, they reviewed systems, trained junior technicians, and devised strategies to improve the station's energy distribution and safety protocols. Yet both knew that preparation was only as valuable as its test. The universe often had a way of providing challenges that revealed true character. The warning came without notice. Early one morning, the station's automated monitoring system detected a massive meteor storm heading toward Valora. The storm was unlike any the station had encountered in decades. High-velocity debris, some the size of vehicles, would strike the outer hull if the station did not act quickly. Alarms rang across the corridors, alerting all staff to the impending danger. Panic rippled among some employees, while others scrambled to secure equipment and prevent damage. Arun felt a familiar tension rise in his chest. This was no minor incident. This was a full-scale test of the station's resilience and of the people who maintained it. Maya was already moving through the control hubs, her presence calm and focused. She coordinated emergency procedures with precision, assigning tasks to teams, checking the automated defense systems, and verifying the structural integrity of the outer hull. Arun followed closely, assisting where needed, but he quickly realized that Maya's leadership was central. Her decisions were clear, deliberate, and thoughtful, ensuring that no one panicked and that every precaution was taken. Arun marveled at her ability to remain composed under pressure, her mind anticipating problems before they arose. "Arun," Maya called, her voice steady over the intercom. "We need to reinforce the outer shield generators and redistribute power to the propulsion thrusters. The storm could impact multiple sections simultaneously. Begin the calculations for energy rerouting immediately." Arun nodded and worked at the console, entering commands and adjusting the energy flow. He realized that Maya's directions were not only effective, but also inspiring. Staff members who had been hesitant or fearful before now moved with confidence, trusting her guidance. Arun felt a surge of admiration. Her integrity and competence had turned fear into action, and the station's survival depended on her leadership. The first wave of meteors struck with a series of loud impacts, shaking the station and triggering secondary alarms. Some smaller debris punctured minor sections of the hull, but Maya's preparations ensured that these incidents did not escalate. She quickly dispatched maintenance drones to seal breaches and repair damaged conduits. Arun worked beside her, handling calculations and energy adjustments, but he could not help noticing how naturally she led the response, moving from task to task with calm determination. During the chaos, a group of junior technicians found themselves trapped in a corridor blocked by fallen equipment. Panic threatened to overtake them, but Maya quickly assessed the situation. "Stay calm," she instructed. "Follow my lead. I will guide you through the safe path." She activated a series of emergency lights and automated doors, creating a secure route for the team. Arun followed close behind, assisting where he could. The technicians safely exited the corridor, their fear replaced by gratitude. Arun realized that this was more than a test of technical skill. It was a demonstration of courage, empathy, responsibility. As the storm continued, a critical issue arose in the main power conduit. The outer section was at risk of overload, and failure could disable life support systems in multiple sectors. Arun felt the familiar tension of responsibility pressing down on him. He looked at Maya, who was already analyzing the situation. "We need to balance the load across all secondary conduits and initiate an emergency energy bleed to prevent failure," she said without hesitation. "I will guide the drones to reinforce the conduit while you adjust the distribution manually." Arun followed her instructions, entering precise commands while monitoring the system's response. Sparks flew from the conduit as the energy stabilized, and the station shuddered under the strain. Maya moved calmly, directing the drones, adjusting protocols, and ensuring the safety of nearby personnel. Arun was awestruck. Her ability to manage complexity, risk, and human lives simultaneously was unlike anything he had ever seen. The storm raged for hours, testing the station and its people to the limits. Minor damage occurred, but thanks to Maya's leadership and Arun's assistance, the station remained operational. By mid-afternoon, the meteor storm had passed, leaving behind scattered debris and minor structural damage. Staff members emerged from their stations exhausted but unharmed. Arun felt a deep sense of relief and gratitude. He turned to Maya, realizing that her calm courage had not only saved the station, but also inspired his confidence in everyone around her. After the storm, Arun and Maya walked through the corridors to assess the aftermath. The walls bore small dents and scorch marks, but the station had held together. Maintenance teams moved efficiently, repairing damage and restoring systems. Arun observed Maya as she encouraged the teams, offering advice and praise without seeking attention for herself. Her humility and dedication impressed him deeply. He had never encountered someone who combined skill, integrity, and leadership with such natural grace. "Maya," Arun said quietly, walking beside her, "I don't know how to thank you. The station would not have survived without your guidance. Your calmness, courage, and intelligence. I have never seen anything like it." Maya looked at him and smiled softly. "Thank you, Arun, but the station is made of many parts, and many people contributed. We all did our jobs. I only did what was necessary." Arun felt a lump in his throat. Her words reflected humility, yet he knew that she had been the cornerstone of their success. "Many contributed, yes, but it was your leadership that made the difference. You inspired them, guided them, and ensured that no one panicked. You saved lives and the station itself." Maya's eyes reflected quiet understanding. Leadership is not about recognition. It is about responsibility. You use your position, your skills, and your resources to ensure the safety and well-being of others. That is what matters. Arun walked beside her, feeling the weight of her words. He realized that he had spent much of his life focused on wealth and status, often neglecting responsibility and empathy. Watching Maya during the storm had shown him what true leadership looked like. It was not about control or power. It was about courage, integrity, the willingness to act for the greater good. The aftermath of the storm brought more than repairs. It brought reflection. Arun spent the evening reviewing the station's systems, making adjustments based on the lessons learned during the emergency. He consulted Maya frequently, valuing her insight and experience. Together, they improved protocols for energy distribution, structural integrity, and emergency response, creating systems that would prevent future disasters from causing similar risks. Beyond technical improvements, Arun realized that the storm had changed something within him. He felt a newfound respect for the people around him, understanding that their skills, courage, and dedication were as valuable as any material resource. He saw that leadership was not about issuing orders, but about empowering others, guiding them with wisdom, and fostering an environment where integrity and courage were rewarded. Later that night, Arun returned to his quarters, exhausted but inspired. He looked at the golden energy cores, now resting quietly in their vault. Their significance had shifted completely. They were no longer a test of temptation or wealth. They were a symbol of the lessons he had learned about character, courage, and responsibility. Maya's example had transformed his understanding of leadership and humanity. As he prepared for sleep, Arun reflected on the day's events. The storm had been a trial, not only for the station but for everyone on it. It had tested courage, skill, and character. Maya had proven herself in ways that Arun could never have anticipated. She had demonstrated that true value lay not in wealth or power, but in honesty, empathy, and the ability to act responsibly under pressure. Arun realized that he wanted to embody those same qualities, not only for himself, but for the people he led and the station he cared for in the quiet of the night. As the stars shone brightly beyond the station windows, Arun made a silent promise. He would continue to learn from Maya, to grow as a leader and as a person, and to ensure that the values she represented were recognized and nurtured across the station. The trial of the storm had revealed much more than technical skill. It had revealed the power of human integrity and courage. Arun understood that the journey was far from over. The storm had been only one challenge among many in the vast reaches of space. Yet he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He would use his wealth, resources, and influence, not for personal gain, but to create an environment where honesty, responsibility, and courage flourished. He would follow Maya's example, ensuring that the station was not only safe and efficient, but also a place where human values were honored and celebrated. As he finally drifted into sleep, Arun felt a sense of hope and determination. Maya's presence, her actions, and her guidance had changed him profoundly. The days on the Vellora space station passed with a rhythm that balanced routine and surprise. Arun had grown accustomed to observing Maya from a distance, marveling at the ease with which she handled her duties and cared for others. Yet, he knew that the time had come to step out from behind his observation panels. He wanted to meet her, not as a superior testing a subordinate, but as a man eager to understand and learn from someone whose character inspired him. That morning, Arun prepared himself. His quarters were immaculate, the golden energy cores now neatly stored in a secure vault. They no longer represented temptation, but a memory of the lesson Maya had already imparted. He adjusted his uniform, straightened his posture, and walked through the corridors of the station with a sense of purpose. He had arranged a small project that would require both of their attention. It was a task he hoped would allow them to collaborate openly, and for him to see her character in action again. But this time as equals rather than observer and subject. Maya was already at work in the central hub, tending to the station's core systems. She moved with calm efficiency, checking the status of multiple energy conduits and ensuring the automated drones were functioning correctly. Arun watched her from the entrance for a moment, taking in her focus. He hesitated briefly, unsure of how to approach her without startling her or appearing overbearing. Then, gathering his courage, he stepped forward and spoke. "Maya," he said, keeping his voice gentle, "I would like your help with a project. It involves improving the station's energy distribution and safety protocols. Your experience and perspective would be invaluable." Maya paused her work and looked up. Her expression was calm but attentive, a sign she was considering his request carefully. "Of course, sir," she replied simply. "I am happy to help. What do you need me to do?" Arun felt a small relief at her response. Her willingness to assist without hesitation or suspicion showed the trust she naturally extended to others. "We will need to inspect the outer energy conduits, identify weak points, and implement a system that ensures stability even in unexpected situations. Your insight will guide the design," Arun explained. Maya nodded and gathered her tools. Together, they left the hub and made their way to the outer sections of the station, where the conduits stretched along the hull like veins carrying life-giving energy. Arun observed her as she worked, amazed at her understanding of both technology and people. She pointed out areas that required attention, not only for efficiency, but for safety, explaining how minor adjustments could prevent major problems. During their work, a minor incident occurred. One of the conduits sparked unexpectedly, sending a flash of light across the corridor. Arun instinctively stepped back, but Maya remained composed. She examined the conduit carefully, traced the source of the issue, and quickly stabilized the system. "It was a minor surge," she said calmly. "Nothing dangerous, but it shows the importance of the adjustments we are planning." Arun nodded, impressed by her calm under pressure. Her demeanor reminded him of why he had been so captivated by her character from the beginning. After the immediate task was complete, Arun invited Maya to his office to discuss the broader implications of their project. As they entered, Arun's mind was filled with conflicting emotions. He felt respect, admiration, and a growing sense of humility. He realized he had never truly spoken to someone in a way that allowed for equal collaboration. Usually, he issued commands and expected compliance. But here was someone who approached problems thoughtfully and independently. "Maya," Arun began, "I want to be honest with you. When I first noticed your work on the station, I created a situation to observe your character. I wanted to see if you could be trusted with integrity." He paused, watching her reaction carefully. Maya remained silent, her expression neutral but attentive. "I see," she said finally. "And what did you learn?" Arun took a deep breath. "I learned more than I expected. I learned that integrity, courage, and dedication are far more valuable than any wealth or power. I wanted to test you, but in truth, You have already taught me a lesson I could not have learned on my own." Maya regarded him for a moment, her calm demeanor steady. "It is not my lesson to teach," she replied. "I only do what is right. The choices we make every day define who we are. You have recognized it, and that is your own understanding." Arun felt a wave of emotion. He had expected pride, arrogance, or clever reasoning, but her humility and clarity struck him deeply. He realized that this conversation was more important than any project or system they could improve. It was a moment of transformation, where respect and understanding took precedence over observation and authority. As they continued their discussion, Arun found himself asking questions not about the station or technology, but about principles and values. He asked Maya how she approached her decisions, how she balanced efficiency with compassion, and how she maintained her calm under pressure. She answered with simplicity and honesty, emphasizing the importance of responsibility, awareness of consequences, and concern for the well-being of others. Arun listened intently, taking mental notes. He realized that he had spent much of his life focused on wealth, influence, and status, often neglecting the human element in every decision. Watching Maya and engaging with her directly showed him that leadership was not about power or command, but about guidance, example, and empathy. Their conversation was interrupted by a minor alarm from the energy conduit system. A minor fluctuation had been detected in one of the external lines. Arun looked at Maya, unsure how serious it might be. She smiled gently as if the interruption was expected. "Let's take a look," she said, gathering the tools they had been using. Together, they went to the affected conduit. Arun watched as Maya inspected the system, her fingers tracing the wires, her eyes scanning the readings. She pointed out a subtle misalignment that could have caused a major failure if left unattended. With careful precision, she adjusted the components, stabilized the flow, and recalibrated the monitoring system. Arun was astonished by her ability to combine knowledge, intuition, and care in a single action. When the task was complete, Arun spoke quietly. "You are extraordinary, Maya. I have never met anyone with your combination of skill, integrity, and courage. I realize now that observing you is not enough. I need to work alongside you, to learn and understand, rather than simply watch." Maya's smile was soft, encouraging. "I am happy to work with you, Arun. We can accomplish much if we focus on what is right and consider the well-being of others." The afternoon passed with productive collaboration. Arun realized that Maya's approach was not only effective, but transformative. She encouraged him to think beyond systems and efficiency, to consider the people affected by every decision. He began to see his role not merely as a wealthy leader, but as someone responsible for fostering integrity, courage, and community across the station. Later, as they walked back to the central hub, Arun reflected on the lessons he had learned. Maya had shown him that respect for others, careful consideration of consequences, and a calm, thoughtful approach to challenges were far more powerful than wealth or status. He felt a deep sense of gratitude, not only for her actions, but for her willingness to remain humble, even in the presence of someone as wealthy and influential as himself. That evening, Arun returned to his quarters with a new perspective. The golden energy cores, once symbols of wealth and temptation, now represented the lesson Maya had taught him, that character, integrity, and empathy were far more valuable than any material possession. He carefully stored the cores, their significance transformed from test to reminder. As he settled into his chair, Arun realized that his life was at a turning point. Maya's example had ignited a desire to lead with integrity and compassion. He began planning ways to improve the station not just with technology, but with a culture that valued honesty, courage, and care for others. The project they had begun together was just the first step. In the quiet of his quarters, Owen reflected on his journey so far. He understood that the lessons he was learning were not just about Maya or the station, but about himself. He had been given an opportunity to grow, to change, and to use his wealth and position for something meaningful. He felt a quiet determination to continue learning, observing, and working alongside Maya and others who embodied the values he had long overlooked. Before sleep, Arun looked once more at the golden energy cores. Their glow reminded him not of temptation or wealth, but of a deeper truth, that the measure of a person's worth is not in what they possess, but in how they act, how they treat others, and how they face challenges with honesty and courage. Maya had already proven the strength of these principles, and Arun was determined to follow her example. As the stars of Valora twinkled beyond the station's windows, Arun felt a sense of hope he had not known in years. The confrontation with Maya, though gentle and respectful, had changed him profoundly. He knew that his journey of growth had only just begun, and that the lessons he learned here would shape not only his life, but the lives of everyone on the station. He fell asleep with a sense of purpose, ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. The days following the meteor storm were filled with repair, reflection, and renewal. Arun walked through the corridors of the Valora space station with a new sense of purpose. The storm had been a trial not only of the station's systems, but of his own understanding of leadership, courage, and human character. He had seen Maya act with integrity, calm, and wisdom, and he felt compelled to carry those lessons into every aspect of his life. Maya continued her work as always, tending to maintenance, guiding technicians, and overseeing the safety of the station. She did not seek recognition, yet Arun could not help but notice the way people respected and trusted her. Her influence had already begun to shape the station's culture, inspiring cooperation, responsibility, and mutual support. Arun realized that her example was more powerful than any policy or rule he could create. Determined to put his lessons into practice, Arun called a meeting with the station's senior staff. He had never done this before. Usually, his presence alone was enough to command attention. But now he wanted dialogue, collaboration, and understanding. As the staff assembled, Arun spoke with humility and clarity. "We have faced challenges together," he began, "and I have learned something important. The strength of this station does not come from wealth, technology, or authority alone. It comes from the people who work here, from their courage, their integrity, and their dedication. We are stronger when we act together and respect one another." The staff listened intently. Arun could see in their eyes a mix of surprise and curiosity. This was a different approach than they were used to leadership that valued honesty, collaboration, and the human element. He continued, "I want to encourage every one of you to take responsibility, to support one another, and to act with integrity. We will recognize effort, reward, courage, and foster a culture where every person's contribution matters." Maya stood quietly in the back, observing the scene with a calm smile. Arun had learned much from her example, and now he was applying it to the station as a whole. The change in his demeanor, his words, and his approach inspired confidence among the staff. Arun realized that leadership guided by values was far more effective than leadership based on wealth or authority alone. Over the following weeks, Arun and Maya worked together on a series of improvements. They upgraded the station's energy distribution network, optimized life support systems, and introduced training programs for junior technicians. Arun no longer saw these as tasks to dominate or control. He approached them with curiosity, collaboration, and respect for the people who executed the work. Maya guided him, offering insights, suggesting practical solutions, and showing patience when Arun struggled to adjust to his new approach. One day, a young technician named Leela approached Arun and Maya with a question. She had observed their collaboration and was inspired by their teamwork. "How do you stay so calm under pressure?" she asked. Maya smiled gently. "Focus on what you can do, not what you fear. Think of the consequences of your actions and act to do what is right. Courage and integrity guide every decision," she explained. Arun nodded in agreement. Realizing that he had learned the same lesson from her guidance, the station thrived under this new approach. Productivity increased, safety improved, and morale soared. Employees felt valued and respected, and they carried these values into every task. Arun noticed subtle changes. Technicians helped each other without prompting. Engineers shared ideas freely, and even automated systems were optimized with human care in mind. The station had become a place where technology and human values worked together in harmony. Arun also noticed his own transformation. He no longer measured success solely by wealth or influence. Instead, he measured it by the impact he could have on others, the guidance he could provide, and the example he could set. He felt more connected to the people around him, more aware of their needs and strengths, and more responsible for the choices he made. Maya's example had reshaped not only his understanding of leadership, but also his understanding of life. One evening, Arun invited Maya to his quarters, not to test her, but to share his reflections. They sat near the observation window, watching the distant planet Valora shimmer under the light of its sun. Arun spoke softly. "Maya, I have learned so much from you. Your calmness, integrity, and courage have changed the way I see everything. I want to continue learning not just from systems and technology, but from the values you show every day. You have taught me that wealth and power mean little without character." Maya nodded, her expression calm and encouraging. "I am glad to help, Arun. You have already begun to apply these lessons. Leadership is a journey, and your willingness to change shows true understanding. It is not about one action, but about every choice you make going forward." Arun smiled. He felt a deep sense of gratitude. He realized that true wealth was not measured in gold, credits, or energy cores, but in the impact one had on others, the values one embodied, and the courage to do what was right. Maya's guidance had illuminated a path he had never seen before, and he was determined to follow it as days turned into weeks. Arun and Maya continued their partnership. They addressed minor crises before they became major problems, improved the station's infrastructure, and fostered a culture of cooperation and respect. The staff, inspired by their example, began to take initiative, showing integrity in every action. Arun felt a profound satisfaction in seeing people grow, succeed, and act responsibly. The golden energy cores, once scattered as a test, now rested in a secure area. They were no longer symbols of temptation, but of transformation. Arun sometimes looked at them, remembering the lessons Maya had taught him. Each core was a reminder that integrity, courage, and empathy were far more valuable than wealth alone. A significant moment came when the station faced another minor meteor event. This time, Arun and Maya acted seamlessly, guiding the staff with calm efficiency. Arun felt a sense of confidence he had never known before. He trusted Maya's judgment completely, and he trusted himself to act with integrity and responsibility. The station weathered the storm without incident, and Arun realized that this was the culmination of everything he had learned: preparation, courage, integrity, and teamwork. After the event, Arun addressed the station once more. "We have faced trials together," he said, his voice steady. "We have learned that our strength lies not in technology alone, but in courage, integrity, and cooperation. Let us continue to value these qualities, to support one another, and to act with responsibility and care in everything we do. Together, we are stronger than any challenge the universe may bring." The staff cheered, not only for the safety of the station, but for the words that reflected a new era of leadership. Arun felt pride, not in himself, but in the community that had formed. Inspired by Maya's example and guided by his commitment to growth and change in the quiet moments, Arun often reflected on how far he had come. He had begun the journey as a man curious about another person's character, testing her honesty and integrity. Yet, he had learned that true growth comes not from testing others, but from observing, learning, and applying those lessons to oneself. Maya had become more than a teacher. She had become a guide, a partner, and a living example of human values. The station, thriving under this new approach, was a testament to what humanity could achieve when courage, integrity, and collaboration were valued above wealth and power. Arun felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known, understanding that the greatest treasures in life were the lessons learned, the lives touched, and the example one set for others. One evening, Arun walked through the corridors, observing the staff as they worked together seamlessly. He saw technicians helping one another, engineers discussing solutions openly, and drones moving efficiently under careful guidance. The station hummed with life, energy, and cooperation. He knew that this was a lasting transformation, one that would continue to influence everyone who lived and worked there. Arun returned to his quarters and looked at the golden energy cores one last time. They no longer symbolized a test, temptation, or wealth. They symbolized growth, learning, and the transformation of values. He smiled, feeling a sense of peace and purpose. The lessons Maya had taught him would guide him for the rest of his life. As the stars of Vellora shone brightly outside the station, Arun felt a profound connection to the universe, to the people around him, and to the principles he now embraced. He knew that the journey of growth and transformation was ongoing, but he was no longer alone. Maya's presence, example, and guidance had shown him the path, and he was ready to follow it, using his wealth influence and experience to inspire others to act with integrity, courage, and empathy. The Vellora space station had survived storms, tests, and challenges. But the true transformation was in the hearts of the people who lived there. Arun and Maya had forged a partnership that demonstrated the best of humanity, proving that wealth, technology, and power are meaningless without character, responsibility, and the courage to do what is right. And in that realization, Arun understood the greatest lesson of all. The true measure of success is not what one possesses, but how one lives, leads, and inspires others. Maya had shown him that, and the station, its people, and the stars themselves seemed to reflect the light of that understanding.